And then their schooling system is different from ours from like an early age. They split up in about like 5th grade is what we would call it. And they split up into like trade schools or tech schools, and then some go to like the higher advanced education, as in like if you're going to college. And so that's what you would call our high school is what they go to. But they split that up around 5th grade, and then they don't get graded on their homework assignments, only on their tests. So as like they can just not do the homework, but if you don't get a good test, if you don't get good test grades, you will get kicked out of the higher up school and you'll be sent down to one of the lower schools. And so they just have a higher responsibility with what they do, and it's all up to them. If they choose to not do it, then it's their responsibility and what they're saying. Yeah.
We went to school a lot of days, but we were also able to travel around the surrounding area. And through that, we were really able to learn like the German culture. We visited Rheinfabern, which was a city and that had a lot of the Roman ruins, and we were able to make like Roman pottery and learn a lot about their city. We also traveled to Munich. We had a couple stops along the way to Munich, and we visited the Cinderella Castle, so like what the Disney-inspired castle is actually based off of. In the city, we visited the most famous cathedral, and we were able to go to the BMW factory and see the Olympic Park, which they hosted the Olympics there in the 70s. We went to the castle where German democracy was born and where the first German flag was presented. A lot of kids on weekends or after school, we would go to just town to shop or do whatever, and they had big shopping centers almost comparable to Chicago, and the big place most of us went was Karlsruhe, and they had a lot of places where we could eat out and just shop and just eat ice cream and hang out with friends. We also visited Mainz, which was the capital, and while we were there, we were able to sit down in a room and talk with one of their representatives. So we were able to have a long conversation with him, and he actually bought us lunch, so we sat down and had a nice lunch with the representative. My favorite part of the trip was when we were able to visit France. My host family took me one weekend. We went to Strasbourg, and we were able to see the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and I really learned a lot there. It was a really interesting, since it was the part of France we were in was so close to Germany, a lot of it was alike in some ways, but there were also some differences between France and Germany. And one day, our whole group, we went to the Maginot Line, which was a World War II bunker, and we were able to take a tour, and we were able to go all the way down in it and see like all of the different things they did and things that actually happened in World War II. And we also went to Heidelberg, which was like their big university city where they had their like major university. It was a World War II base for the Americans, so we were able to learn a lot about that. And it was their biggest tourist town, so there were a lot of Americans there.
The kids were lucky this time because outside of Munich is Dachau, so they did get to go to a concentration camp and see what that was during World War II. And I can't stress enough, the German teachers also admire our education system, and they said it's interesting that the German teachers will tell you that they think we get a bad rap sometimes because, like Brittany was saying, they start screening kids at 5th grade. How they know they're college bound or not, I don't know. That boggles my mind as a teacher here, but that's what they do. And so for the gymnasium, which is not a gymnasium, it's their academic high school that we go to, the students there are the ones that are tested. They don't test the students that go to the special ed schools, they don't test the ones that are in a trade school, and they said the fact that America tests all their kids and are still up there, I mean, we may not be #1 in the world, but we're still up there, and they only test their top 10% that are going on to college that are in a gymnasium. They said what a difference would be in America if we only tested our top kids. And that's something they said that the American public doesn't seem to understand and get sometimes. And I think it shows to these kids when they go over there and see it firsthand that they're able to maybe appreciate what we have over here a little bit better in our education system. So it was a great trip. We're excited to welcome our Spanish students for the first time next month. They'll be here September 1st. So you will see a couple of them come to your board meeting hopefully in September. They're from Madrid, so we'll see how that experience goes. I know our students are excited. And we did not come back empty-handed. Frau Jung sent over some handmade German chocolates from Condell that the board and our administration can enjoy from Germany. So thank you for your support of RGAP and SAP programs, and I think it's something good for our students here at Sangamon Valley High School to have and to participate in. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You did good one.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot, Mr. Scanlon, for bringing everyone in. I know it's been a great program in the past, and this year was equally successful, I believe. So I know my daughter went and had a great time and didn't want to come home. So I think that must speak volumes. And are we ready to continue on?
I would just like to thank Mr. Scanlon personally as well. And I don't think everybody understands that this doesn't happen at every high school, and Rochester's a big school, and their GAP program is relatively small compared to the number of kids that come here and visit and the number of kids that we take over there. It's amazing what we're able to do, and most of the credit has to go to Mr. Scanlon doing the organizing and getting it all together. And so thank you.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Seconded by all of us, I believe, here at the table. And another one there, or are we?
No,
Okay. So we want to move on to the consent agenda. Anyone have any questions? I know there was an we amended the minutes that were in the paper due to the fact that the health insurance vote was left out, so there is amended minutes for that. The rest of it, everyone should have gotten. Okay.
and I would like to add a little bit of something to that. There will be a ton of checks going out this time of year. It's usually kind of how the system works a little bit, but there were a couple things on there. We didn't receive a heating bill or any type of power bill for 2 months, and they sent that all at once. So that's going to come out of our checks this month. And Comcast, for some reason, did the same thing. They did not bill us for July. They put July and August on the same bill. So again, that's going to be a larger expense than what we would normally see for this time of year. So just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams. Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Mike Stone. Call roll, please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola.
Yes.
Okay. And then superintendent's report.
I sent out an email to everybody, and I don't know if everybody received it or not. I know that Leonard said he did not receive the recommendations, and I'll see if I can't get that worked out. But one of the things that I included in my recommendations on the very back page is our enrollment numbers for 15-16. And overall, from where we ended up last school year, I believe our enrollment was somewhere around 688 district-wide. We are up to 731 right now, so that will benefit us, and not only in state aid, but also with the Macon County sales tax for those kids that live in Macon County for us. And I know the high school is at 253 as of today, which I believe that's as big as since I've been here. I think that's the biggest enrollment we've had in high school, so there must be some happy people out there that like what we're doing and want to move into this district, so I'm very excited to give you those numbers.
And that did not include the pre-K, right?
Correct. For the summer construction pictures on the website, I meant to look today, and do we have any up yet? I know that we talked about getting them on there, and so
Yeah,
I
I
wanted to fill everybody in that they were either on there or they were on their way to the website. So I'm glad that they're on there. We're able to do, I think, accomplish a lot over the summer with the buildings, and I think the high school, since I'm here all the time and I've lived here for 8 years, that I think it's looking as good as it has since I've been here. So very proud of what all of our summer help was able to do this summer. And I also wanted to update you a little bit on the employee health benefit plan. We have sent all the paperwork through to Leave Egyptian Trust. We also sent them a check to buy out of their coverage. One of the fine print items that would have been sent in a board minutes back in June, I believe, early June, was the fact that there was a 60-day release clause. So that has pushed our start date to November 1st with the new insurance. Talking with Jeremy Travelstead and with Carol, that really actually seemed to work out and play to our benefit as far as getting everybody signed up and having a smooth transition from one plan to the other. So I just wanted to fill you on that. And initially I wasn't real happy about this. I really felt like they should have sent some sort of notification that we had a 60-day, policy that was in place that we can't pull out without that type of advance notice. But it's going to work out for the best, so that's kind of where we are with that.
And the library is set to open when?
Friday.
Friday? Anything else?
I think that's it.
Any questions from anyone on the superintendent's report?
So do you have any firm numbers on the buyout for the insurance?
I know that one check was right around 18,000.
13,2.
13,2.
To be written, 13,9, I'm sorry, 13,952.
I saw that, I just know if that was the end of it, or
I think that should be it.
even though we're pushed back 60 days? Is that only during
I think there may be a little bit of adjustment that we'll have to do, but I don't think it'll be a huge amount of money. So,
It's lower than the original.
yeah, I think we originally thought it was going to be somewhere around $18,000, and it came in below that, and it might end up there by the time it's all said and done.
On the enrollment numbers,
Mm-hmm.
I know at the West Campus, we went down to one grade of third, correct?
Yes.
At the East
East
Campus?
Campus.
We're sitting at 23 students in that class.
Okay. So we're 23 right now. Everything else has 2 classes per grade level.
And we I've talked to Mr. Meadows, looking at our numbers in kindergarten, first and second. Most likely we'll need back to 2 classes in third grade in the future, if the numbers stay where they're at, because those classes have, on average, about 34, 35 kids in this total, in second grade and first grade and kindergarten.
We have an awfully small 5th grade class right now too, which we have to remember that there may be a potential for needing a 5th grade teacher as those larger classes move up too, because we've dropped that from 3 down to 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that we're all same boat. Any other questions? Okay, so we're going to move on to old business.
I've put on my recommendations that I recommend that we go ahead and renew the Sentinel subscription. Again, we do not have solid numbers. I can't look at our enrollment numbers because we only send out one paper per family. We also pay for a subscription for each employee in the district. Those are not duplicated, and then they give us free copies to put in the offices. So there are no duplications as far as if you have 3 kids, you're not getting 3 copies of the Sentinel, and you're not charged through subscription prices. So I estimate that based on our numbers, I think it's going to be somewhere around 10,000.
Which is what's been running consistently, right?
So I would recommend that we renew this subscription.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the renewal of the Sentinel subscription for the 2015-2016 school year. Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Brad Santola, call roll please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Santola,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes. Okay.
Next, I have a recommendation for Barb Moskey's TRS request. I really have no new information to provide to you. I do have records that show she was employed by the Illiopolis School District during the 90-91 school year. TRS contribution was not paid. There is a gap in her service record. And what I guess my proposal would be is to, the district would be responsible for $19,088.07. Sorry, $1,988.07 that would be paid on her behalf to TRS. I know that she's paid more money than that, but I think part of that falls back on her, that she discovered this several years after that gap. I don't know how you don't notice that. TRS, up until about 2 years ago, used to send out a paper copy to everybody in TRS, and then would show your service record and show your salary. And I don't know how you get 8-10 years down the road and just discover it. So I don't feel like the district is responsible for her not catching that in a timely manner. And that's where the additional money that she was requesting came from the interest that would have acquired over that.
We had the same request last fall, correct?
Yes. Well, last
election.
might have been last winter.
This is about the third time, it's about the third time we've had that request over the years.
Now, since she's saying the money did not go in our TRS, did she receive it in her pay?
It doesn't show on a stub that she received that on her pay. TRS would not let me have that information. And I don't, alls I have records from the district, and she doesn't have a pay stub from 1990-91. We have a folder that just says that the district paid this amount of money, so.
And hers was not paid for that year.
Correct.
And we've had multiple requests for this in the past.
Yes. I think the $1,988 is a fair amount. I don't think you're responsible. You're not responsible to even do that with the amount of time that has passed, but I also think that there was a mistake, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't caught 17 years ago, whatever.
I don't know, does anybody have any comments or questions or want to seek any additional information? You want to go directly to a vote?
Can she authorize the information to be pulled from TRS that you couldn't get? Since it's
I believe
considered-
that she can.
Is that something that everyone would want to look into, just have her give that information?
That's just to answer the question that we posed last month, that Mike brought up again, that
It didn't go
did
directly
the
to her.
TRS, did that $1,900 get spread over her paychecks for the year and stay in her salary instead of being pulled out, right?
That money would never go to
Oh, okay.
anybody anyway,
Right.
because it goes directly to TRS. It never would appear on, the amount paid would appear on a pay stub, but that would never be added into.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
salary.
Either goes TRS or this doesn't get distributed.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's always been my understanding of how the TRS works.
I really didn't know what we would have to gain from her releasing any records from TRS. It just wasn't paid.
Yeah, if they don't actually have an option to pay it into the salary, then they wouldn't be able to tell us anything anyway.
Okay.
So it would be one of two options. I know former boards have turned it down due to time constraints and that kind of thing and past its window of opportunity, I guess you would say. Or we can go with Mr. Meadows and agree to give the amount that should have been deposited originally with no interest, with the additional interest, which I believe her amount was over $5,000, correct?
Yeah, it was right at.
For her buyout, here was her letter. She spent $5,161.89. 5,000 was the buyback, and then she paid it in payments, so there's interest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm prepared to go with the motion, because I think that at least closes the issue. I mean, I know it's not what she has paid out, but it's what the school owed her at the time.
Yes,
So I think in good faith, that's probably the best thing to do.
I agree. So we need a motion to reimburse Barb Mosky for the TRS earnings that were not paid during the 90-91 school year for the amount of $1,988.07.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second? I'll second it. Call roll, please.
Oakley,
No.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
I struggle with this, but I'll go with aye.
Santola,
No.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Lever, yes. Votes 4-2, so it passes.
Okay. And I wanted to bring up for old business, I don't know if you have anything else, but I wanted to see if we could set up a meeting to go over getting our new committees made between you and I, if that's, okay. If you just give me a date and a time, I will make myself available.
Friday morning I'm busy, but after that I could probably fit you in any time next week that's convenient for you.
Okay, I'm good, we'll just talk about it and go from there. All right. So, new business.
Okay. Starting off with our new business, I've provided each of you a copy of the budget as it appears, as I'm filling it out and plugging in the numbers. That's exactly what I see. It's on an Excel spreadsheet that will be submitted to the state board, and then it will also go to the ROE and all of our county courthouses. I think probably 3 very important pages that kind of sum up the entire budget. I mean, there's no way we could go line item to line item, but page 2 is basically the budget summary. The top half from lines 2 down to 11 are the receipts and revenues that we acquire from various sources. And you can see that the local taxes are the the main portion of, at least, I think in all the funds, but mainly in the ed fund, most of that comes from local sources. The state source would be your state aid, and the federal sources would be like the free and reduced lunch and free and reduced breakfast, those types of programs. So if you look down, go down to line 22 on page 2, you'll see that we finished $30,273 in the black on our ed fund. I was very cautious on estimating the revenue. I practically based our revenue on our figures from this past school year, or this last fiscal year. So typically you have about a 3% increase in your EAV, which will amount to more revenue coming in. So I think the numbers will be better than that at the end, but we'll just have to see. One other thing that I want to point out, in column F, the transportation fund did end in a negative balance of $41,368. And I think that's about right where we were last year at this time, as far as, well, we're a little bit more. Last year at this time we were projecting a 32,000 deficit spending in the transportation fund. One of the things that will kind of help that is I suspect that we'll receive another transportation payment from the state that we should have received for last fiscal year. I think we'll get it sometime this fall, which will kind of offset the numbers. But all of the other funds finished in black. And compared to last year, we were 37,000 and some odd dollars in the red projected in the educational fund. Debt service was $1,000. As I said, transportation was 32,000 in the red, and tort was 12,000 in the red. So I think we're doing okay. Page 3 again shows. I think it's important pages. Line 81 shows your estimated ending fund balance on June 30th, 2016. And you will see there that all of those fund balances are in the black.
So basically, these numbers on line 81 are surplus?
Yes. And one of the things that it was hard for me to wrap my mind around is that the budget looks at your revenue for the year and your expenditures for the year, and it doesn't look at any of your monies that are in the bank just sitting there and gaining interest. So you do receive a report. I don't know how often you get that. I'll have to check with Carol, but
Every month.
it shows your fund balances, where they are, and it gives you an overall picture of what we have resource-wise in the bank. And there's a budget summary, and I don't know, I think Mr. Fowler, which I have to thank him publicly, I spent a little bit of time on the phone with him over the course of this process. He helped tremendously on this, helping me find the numbers, and but he also, him and Carol, over the last few years, have made our reports almost match up page to page with this budget. So it's very easy to look at a number, find it on the summary report provided by Carol, and then we just transfer the numbers. So the process that took me about a week, I think next year will probably take me maybe a couple days. So I'd like to thank him again publicly, and Carol as well. And then the last page that I think is very important, which is my favorite page, is page 19. And it says that we have a balanced budget and no deficit reduction plan is required. So, again, I think the administrators have really helped us spend money wisely, and think we're getting the resources to the kids that they need, but at the same time, we're doing it in a very budget-friendly and very fiscally responsible way, so thank you guys as well.
Before we move on, I wanted to see, years ago, we lost our preschool funding, and we've been putting bill for that, and as of last year, the parents have been putting a little bit in. Now that we have a new governor in place, are there any indication that we can apply for anything new, anything?
Not that I'm aware of, at least at this point, and until they decide on a budget, I don't know how they can.
Don't allow any
Yeah.
additions?
Well, preschool funding was federal though, right? Our previous funding was federal.
Title is, but
I looked into it last year, just through requests and stuff, and for lack of better term, we're not diverse enough and we're too wealthy, which,
That was kind of, because when, instead of
Been the case for
taking,
years.
yeah,
yeah, instead of taking a portion of our funding, they took it all because of those two reasons. Because some schools lost a portion of their funding at the time. Instead of going across the state and taking, 20% from everyone, they just doled it out to who they thought were the most needy.
and now what they're doing is, if you're in the grant now, they only let you apply. So once we've been frozen out of the grant, it's a window of years that we're frozen out of applying for it until we're allowed to.
It's next year though, correct? 17, I
I
think.
think it's February. I think they're 5-year block grants now instead of 20.
But they have to, they only allow the schools that are getting the grant now to apply for the grant to re-up it after.
After the 5-year block.
Yeah, so we'd have to have a really good change, I guess it's not good, a change in, our demographics, to be able to apply for it. Unless Rounder changes it and
Right.
saves the day.
and I have not heard that that's going to happen.
I always like to think wishfully, I guess.
But
I've got 2 questions on the budget. On the transportation, did we only get 3 payments last year?
Yes.
We're supposed to get 4. Are you figuring this on 3 or 4 payments?
This is based on 3.
Is it based on 3?
This budget is based upon the money that we received for transportation this past school year.
Okay. And with the proration right now is at 88% from state aid?
Well, allegedly, it's going to be 92%.
I say, I read that today. Did you base these numbers on the
No.
prorated or
I based it on about 87%.
87%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I
That's
said,
not a good thing.
yeah, I was very tight, cautious, conservative on the revenue side.
And that transportation payment we'll get in October or wherever, that should have been last year's, right? But
Yes.
we'll consider that one of our 3 payments probably for this coming year. correct?
Yes.
So we're still 1, 2, and I'm moving behind.
Had been for quite some time.
Yeah, as I say, multiple years.
So was last year's budget, when you talk about what the projected deficit was last year, do you know if Mr. Fowler did that on 3 payments or 4 payments?
I'm not sure when he came up with his budget, what he determined.
Okay.
Again, I,
Sure did.
Yeah, I think he always basically, because he always knew we were going to not get that 4th one.
They always knew it was gonna roll the next year to still with 1 line, so so to them, they're giving you your 4, still, it's only 3.
That is new math, isn't it?
Go math.
Yeah.
Okay.
so the budget will be on display. It's up in the, you have a copy, and then there is the original copy that will be on display in Carol's office if anybody would like to view it. I think she said in the 5 years she's been there, no one has ever came in and looked at it. And I really think a better document to look at is that budget summary that I was talking about that helped me plug the numbers in for the budget. It breaks it down in very great detail, where I take several items off a particular list and total that up, and it fits in one little cell on the spreadsheet. So that would be a better bit of information for people if you ever want to look at the budget.
Going to go to the motion to approve the 2014-2015 tentative school district budget.
So,
Motion made by Leonard Williams, was there a second?
Also,
Mike Stone, call roll please.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
And due to the fact that it has to be on display for 30 days, our next board meeting will not be until September 23rd, 2015.
Okay, so we can set a hearing. So a motion to set a hearing on the 2015-2016 tentative school district budget as part of the regular board meeting on September 23rd, 2015.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams, second.
Second.
Mike Oakley, call roll please.
we just need a voice.
Oh, sorry.
Is that right?
Yes.
Skipped it all. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And you had,
Each year we have something comes from the state that we have to apply to have our schools recognized as being compliant with the State Board of Education. I just recommend that we apply for recognition of our schools by ISB.
okay. So motion to approve, oh, we don't need to do that one, right? Yeah.
We'll have to make a
The
motion.
voice,
to
the
adopt
voice.
Okay, motion to approve the annual recognition of schools application for ISB. All in favor?
You have to have a motion second.
Just a voice.
I can't get through my headache, sorry. Motion made by Leonard Williams.
Second.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I
Second,
just-
first by Leonard, second by Mike Oakley. Never come with a migraine to a board meeting, lesson learned. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And at this point, I guess we need a motion to enter closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda. Motion made by Mike Staub,
Second.
second by Mike Oakley. And all in favor?
Aye.
And what time is it?
It is 7:43.
Session minutes as read in closed session. Mike Oakley, is there a second?
Second.
Leonard Williams, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes?
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola.
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion to employ Jason Knobloch as an 8-hour per night custodian at SVHS.
Also
Moved by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mike Oakley, call roll please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes. Motion to employ Jacob Sheedley as a 5-hour per night custodian at Sangamon Valley East Elementary.
Voted.
By Leonard, seconded by Brad Santola. Call roll please.
Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes.
Motion to employ Sarah McKinney as a 7-hour per day RTI ISS aide to be utilized at Sangamon Valley West Elementary and Sangamon Valley Middle School. Moved by Brad Santola, is there a second?
Second.
Mike Staub. Call roll please.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley.
Yes.
Okay. And a motion to change Nick Veely's hours to a 7-hour per day aide.
I'll move.
Mike Staub, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mike Oakley, call roll please.
Williams,
Yes.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub.
Yes.
Okay, and a motion to approve FMLA request for Jeffrey Quimby to begin October 1st, 2015 and end on October 30th, 2015.
Motion.
Brad Santola, second.
Second.
Mike Oakley, call roll please.
Centola,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams.
And a motion to adjourn.
Well,
Oh,
I had a couple items that I wanted to have under other information,
Okay.
I just wanted for you guys to briefly talk to the board about the scope of the outfield fence project at Sangamon Valley East. And then I'll put that on the agenda under new business for September, and we can vote on it. I did call Stephanie and talk about the time frame of being able to do the work, and she informed me that it wasn't going to be able to be done until after probably the first part of October anyway, so if you guys don't mind just telling them a little bit about what's going to happen there, that would be great, and then we can.
Okay. Well, through some vigorous fundraising and some awesome parents and coaches, we've raised the money to pay to have we're going to take down the old net fence, home run fence on the North Diamond at Mrs. Jammerman's facility. Bruce would be happy. He said he's hit it many times with a weed eater. And Ms. Guerrero with General Fence has offered to do it at cost. We're going to put up 350 linear feet of a new home run fence with the safety cap. And it's no cost to the district.
And it will be much like the one we did, I don't know how many years ago, on the diamond up at Eleopolis. They have an outfield fence and they put a top cap on it, that kind of thing. It's just a permanent fixture instead of a temporary one.
And we'd just like the board's approval to go ahead with the work.
Okay. I will have that on the agenda for September. And then I know we talked about how we're going to move forward with Q&S and these monitors, and I'm going to schedule time with Josh from Q&S and go to each building, start over at Harristown, and then work over to Eleopolis and take a look and see what monitors are using. Those big monitors, I would like to have those replaced. But I really can't see if we have a 14-inch monitor and it's sitting there working, it just doesn't make sense to me to take those out of service and put new ones in their place. What I would recommend doing is changing out the big monitors and maybe buying 5 or 6 and put those in service and keep those other ones in setback, maybe 5 or 6 at each building, and then set the other ones back into storage. And then as they start to burn out and we need to replace them, we'll have a temporary fix until we can order more monitors. And it really doesn't take a great deal of time for those monitors to come in. So I just think it's more fiscally responsible to approach it in that manner, as opposed to just saying, well, they're old and they're starting to go out and we need to
So you're one to
replace.
evaluate them and change out the most needed.
Yes,
I agree.
I think if they're working,
I just can't do it. I can't.
Are they in flat style screen or the new flat style
I
screen?
want to change out the ones that are not there, like the big tube monitors, the huge ones. I definitely want to replace those immediately. And then the rest of them we replace as they burn out. Like I said, I think it would make sense to buy. What's that?
So you guys probably have a list, don't you, already?
Just had to go out yesterday.
Well, I would like to buy maybe, like I said, 5 at each building and put those in service and pull the other ones out and keep them if they're functioning as backup that we can just put right in until we can get a new one put in place.
seems like a good idea. I don't know that, monitors aren't like your hard drives. They're not, like you said, beneficial and something that you're not going to be able to swap out easily and
Right.
that kind of thing. Have to be reloaded or.
It's something that building principals could even do if we knew where the units were being stored, so.
Okay. And is there something that we need to come up with a number for that next week or next month, or you're just going to go ahead and replace them 5 at a time?
I would like to have approval to buy 5 at each building and also replace but I have no idea what that's going to look like. I have no idea how many big monitors we have at each building.
There's a lot here, I think, at the middle school, there's
High school's all updated and, I think we're good here.
Well, when you,
I think the original quote was to change out 90,
yeah,
and I don't think we have 90 big tube monitors.
Probably the middle school is probably the worst.
I don't know, we've got all the big ones.
well, when you go through and get when we get a total count on how many big tube ones you have,
And one thing to consider too with some of those monitors, the energy efficiency
Yes.
of those monitors. You know, maybe go us to switch some of them that, you know, just, it may have a few month payback on a new one.
Yeah, those big ones, like in our computer at the middle school, they're like all small little space heaters, and the air conditioners are just fighting those to keep those areas cold, as we found out.
Well, and
this
we've
week.
been told to keep the air on 24/7 because they've overheated. So that's another cost of just, running the air unit.
So maybe all the tube monitors need to go?
I would,
Do you think there's
Yes.
90?
no.
No.
Okay.
So,
Let's say I could see.
we only have
this
50
being-
total computers in both of our computer labs,
Okay,
so, and they're probably 50-50 right now, so.
okay. All right. So we
And I
need-
can get the numbers and I can send you an email
Okay.
of what we're looking at.
And then I know, not to bring up a sticky subject, but before we do go, we had the deal with the annexation last meeting. Has that been heard by Macon Hyatt, or is there any information on that?
We have a hearing Friday at 10 a.m.
Friday at 10 a.m. at the
At the
regional
ROE.
office? Okay. All right.
And I will be there.
Okay.
And,
Great. Anything else from anyone? Then we need a motion to adjourn. Made by Leonard, Mike Oakley second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?